So now we're going to have a look at question 14. Now question 14, this is from the HSC 2020 Advanced Maths paper. So here we have a question about history and geography students. So this is students picking subjects, Venn diagrams, probability sort of stuff that we have here. This is worth quite a few marks. It's early in the paper, but it's 5 marks is a fairly big question, but it's a pretty basic 5 marks. Right? These questions are really good questions to get right because you're getting a lot of marks for relatively little effort. So we're told history and geography are 2 of the subjects students may decide to study. For a group of 40 students, the following is known. 7 students study neither history nor geography, 20 study history, 18 students study geography. A student is chosen at random by using a Venn diagram or otherwise. Find the probability that the student studies both history and geography. All right, so a good Venn diagram will really help us in this case, actually. So we're going to do a Venn diagram. So this is a 2-circle diagram. Like so. We have history is this circle, geography is this circle. Students who do both are the wedge in the middle, the little section in the middle, and students who do neither are the students on the outside. Now the population, I'm going to use the word population here, the population is all of the students. We've been told that this is 40. So we know the population is 40. Now we need 4 numbers. We need a number for students outside, history only, history and geography only. So we're told 7 students don't study history or geography. So there's 7 in the outside. So these students don't study either. We're told 20 students study history and 18 students study geography. Now we can find our 3 missing values using this information if we treat this algebraically. So we can have A, B, and C. These can be our missing values. We know A plus B plus C is equal to 33 because the sum of these 3, there have to be 33 other students. There are 7 outside, there's 40 in total. There have to be 33 in these 3 categories. We also know that A plus B, all of the students contained in history, equals 20. We're told this in the question. 20 students study history. We're also told B plus C is equal to 18. Now, just by looking at this, if A plus B is equal to 20, we could replace this A plus B with 20. We would get 20 plus C equals 33. This would tell us C is equal to 13. But we could have also replaced B plus C with 18. We could have put this in here. This is our first equation. The second equation we could have got is A plus 18 is equal to 33. And this implies that A is in fact 15. So now we've found the number of students who only do history. We've found the number of students who only do geography just by setting this up algebraically. You don't have to do it this way. You could do it another way, but this is one way to do it. So we know the number doing history is 15. The number doing geography is 13. So the number only doing history is 15. The number only doing geography is 13. Now 15 plus 13 is 28. Given that there are 33 students in total, there must be 5 that do both. So this middle section here is both. So then the question so we've now found all of the numbers of the individual categories. This is our setup for part A. This is all just sort of setup. We haven't actually got the answer yet. If a student is chosen at random, find the probability that the student studies both. Well, the probability of both in this case is going to be the number that do both, which we just calculated is 5, divided by the total number of students, which is 40. As a fraction, this is 1 on 8, 12.5% if you want to do it as a percentage. So this is the answer for part A. And we did this, our Venn diagram really did all of the work for us, right? By using the Venn, the question told us to use a Venn diagram. If a question tells you, do this or otherwise, the thing that they recommend is probably going to be quite convenient. That's why they're doing it, right? The HSC papers are very leading in that way. They say, try this or otherwise, probably do the try this first because they've told you to. It's probably going to be easiest. So 2 marks here. The marking is going to go 1 for finding the number of students who study history or geography or equivalent merit. So if you have a really good Venn diagram, but you didn't quite get the 5, you may still get 1 mark, but really they want you to have, the 15, the 5, the 13, and the 7 for the first mark here. And then the second mark, you've got to find that probability. 1 on 8 is a perfectly acceptable way to present that probability. Now, part B, a student is chosen at random. Given that the student studies geography, what is the probability that the student does not study history? Okay, so this is probability of not history given geography. So not history given geography. Well, we can use our Venn diagram for this. Again, right, a good diagram at the start of a question often serves you through a very substantial chunk of the question. So let's think of our wording. Given that the student studies geography, so this is the 18 people over here, so our denominator will be 18. What is the probability that the student does not study history? Well, 13 of the 18 people do not study history because they're the people who only study geography. So this tells us that the probability of not history given geography is going to be 13 on 18. And that's going to be the answer to part 2. And again, this is very easy if you set the diagram up properly at the beginning. Right, a lot of this is just flowing from the diagram. So put the effort in to set up good diagrams. Often it will pay off. Now we have a third part here as well, which is 2 different students are chosen at random, one after the other. What is the probability that the first student studies history and that the second does not study history? So we're going to resort to our Venn diagram again. If we look at the total number who study history, that's 20. Consequently, the total number who don't study history is also 20. So the probability that the first student studies history, well, that will be 20 on 40. Of the 40 students, 20 of them study history. Now, if you remove that student from the pool, you've removed a student who studies history. So that means there are now 19 remaining students who study history and 20 who don't. And the probability that the second student does not study history is 20, the total number of remaining students that don't study history, but it's over 39. Right? The first student that was selected who did study history has now been removed, so the total population number has decreased by essentially 1. Right? So this is a sort of 2-stage probabilistic problem. You're saying, what is the probability that the first student studies history? Well, 20 people study history out of 40, so it's 20 on 40. The second student does not study history. You've removed a history student. There are still 20 students who do not study history, but now only 39 students in the population. So 20 on 40 times 20 on 39. Now, if we simplify this, we can put this in our calculator. Usually you're just going to use your calculator towards the end of a question. So this will give us 10 over 39. So the 20 cancel with the 40. It's become 1. It's become 2. 2 cancel with the 20, giving us 10. So 10 over 39. You can calculate this manually if you want, but you don't necessarily have to. The calculator can do this as well. 10 on 39 will be a perfectly acceptable way to present this answer. So we've got 1 on 8 for part A, we've got 13 on 18 for part B, and we've got 10 on 39 for part C. The marking for part B is just going to be, it's just a 1 mark part. You get 1 mark for having the correct answer. The marking for part C is a little bit more complicated. The numbers, the 20 on 40 and the 20 on 39, are really coming out of the Venn diagram. So if you did the Venn diagram well at the start, it will be fairly obvious to the marker where you've gotten these numbers from. So you will need some working, which is the two fractions multiplied, the 20 on 40, the 20 on 39, and then you'll need the 10 on 39. So 1 mark for the fraction, 1 mark for the answer. The marker notes make this clear. They tell you that 1 mark is obtains the probability of a student studying history as 20 on 40 or equivalent merit, and then the second mark is providing the correct solution. So you do have to have a little bit of working. The majority of the information in that part the majority of the information in the whole question comes from setting up the Venn diagram right. And this is not uncommon in these types of questions. If you do a lot of work to set up a good graph at the beginning, it may reward you through the question by having a lot of information that you can then use.